Right, so today we're going to be talking about the feedback from Gaijin regarding the BR changes for April 2024. These responses are either an indication of ignorance or of complete negligence, one of the two. Let's start off with ground forces. They say the performance indicators of the 2S38 correspond to the average value at its rank without being low or high. Really? You've got a vehicle which has target tracking for aircraft, proxy HE, APHEBC, you've got APFSDS, you've got a 0.5 second reload, you can spam out rounds, you've got no crew in the turret, the vehicle has advanced like second gen thermals, it is blatantly overpowered. It has been for the longest time. And it's 10.0. The HSTV-L, which we'll get to, is 11.3. When it's worse. I don't care if the gun depression is better. The other features of the vehicle are worse. It has like 50 more pen, a much longer reload, no proxy HE, no auto target tracking, no APHE. It's a worse vehicle. And it's 1.3 BRs higher. And it hasn't been changed. And neither has 2S38. They say that 2S38 will be one of the first vehicles to receive additional internal detail. Just increase the BR until you do this. At least put it up in BR now before you do this change. And then after you do this change, you can see what impact it will have. But right now the vehicle is absolutely busted. As is the rest of 10.0 USSR, for example the 292, which luckily they're moving up to 10.3, which is still way too low. The vehicle should be at least 11.0. The HE can one-shot anything that it goes up against. I've seen it one-shot Leopard 2A5s. It's an insane vehicle. It doesn't die when you shoot it in the side. The carousel is far less full than other vehicles like the T-72s or the T-80s, the standard ones. It's an unfair vehicle. The Strella's going to 10.3. It still isn't high enough. Put it up in BR. Just stop doing these little increments where you go bit by bit by bit every 4 months. The vehicle's overpowered. Why don't you put it up 3 BR brackets or 2 BR brackets to, let's say, 11.0 and see how it does there. If it's fine, leave it. Just stop doing these tiny changes when the vehicle has been overpowered since release. Strela started off at, I think, 9.0 or 9.3. And it's just been creeping up and up and up every single time because it's overpowered as hell. Just put it up multiple BR brackets and maybe you can leave it. M18s, they're talking about now. Going to 6.0. Have fun fighting IS-3s. Well, not IS-3s. Have fun fighting 7.0 of different nations. Like USSR. Have fun. Have fun fighting T-44-100s from the front. When he can just kill you anywhere. I don't understand. I don't understand why. I don't care if they've buffed the horsepower of the M18's engine. It doesn't matter. It's too high VR. Just because German players cannot see M18s flanking around the map does not mean anything in regards to the vehicle's performance. Just the players that you face need to be looking around their vehicle to see if an M18 is flanking around them. If you look at the actual characteristics of the vehicle itself, it has 149 pen, it has 0 armor. Why is it 6.0? That's the same BR as like a Panther A or a Panther G, which are better vehicles. It's just people don't know how to play them properly. In the future, they say, we're planning to carry out additional decompression to the top ranks with an increase in the maximum BR. You can keep doing this until the end of time, but if you don't mess with the BRs that are below it, you're not doing anything. We're going to come to this when we get to Aviation in just a second. You can keep increasing the top BR of tanks to 12.0, 12.3, it won't do anything to the meta BRs right now. 9.3 in tanks is absolutely terrible. You have vehicles like the Leopard 1A5, The Type 16 FPS, which is M735, by the way, and it's still 9.3. The XM1, God forbid anybody still plays that sad excuse of a vehicle. If you face 10.3, you die. If you face 2S38, which is 10.0, yeah, 10.0 USSR, 9093, dead vehicles. Absolutely dead vehicles. You can do nothing against 10.0 USSR, you just die. 292 can kill you anywhere, 2S38 can shred you to pieces. You've got amazing CAS at that BR for USSR, it's just unfair. And you can keep expanding the BR, but if you don't fix these problems at lower BRs, all you're doing is you're letting the problem continue on and on and on. You can just keep increasing the BR without doing anything else, and it's not going to do anything. You're not going to keep people happy. It's just not doing anything, and you're just creating bigger holes in the BRs. Does 11.3 have a matchmaker that isn't full up tier? Does 11.0 have a matchmaker that isn't full up tier? Sometimes, but 11.3, no. You get up tiered basically every single game. There's no matchmaker for 11.3. There's nothing there. It's a dead BR. Which is why the HSTV-L is a terrible vehicle. Despite what anyone tells you, it's not a good vehicle. You're going up against STRV 122B pluses, Leopard 2A7s, and you just die because you have worse firepower than a 10.0 Soviet light tank. Let that sink in. Right, aircraft. It gets even worse. The Spitfire Mark 24's BR is being reduced so it doesn't have to fight against the MiG-15 and F-86. It should have been reduced anyway. Even if those vehicles did not get put down in BR, the Mark 24 has no place at 7.0. At all. It's a super prop. The P-51H is 6.3. And the Mark 24 is 7.0. That makes no sense to me. Not saying the P-51H is superior. It's Mark 24 against P-51H is a close fight depending on the altitude and depending on player skill. But it's not 2 BR brackets higher in effectiveness at all. Should go down in BR. Next, we've seen the proposals to, instead of reducing the BR of the MiG-15 and F-86, to instead increase the BR of the F-104. We've decided not to do this because it will worsen the competitiveness of the F-104 and similar aircraft. Why does it matter? What you have done through this justification for keeping the F-104 and other vehicles at the same BR is you've nuked 3 BR brackets. Not 1, not 2, 3 of them. 7.0 is now dead because ME-262s have to fight MiG-15s and F-86s, which they can do absolutely nothing to counter. They just die. 7.3s can't really do anything to those vehicles either. But the ME-262 is absolutely a dead vehicle. You should never play it if this change goes through, because it will just die. You'll have to pray for a down tier. If you get up tiered, you might as well J out on the airfield and just go into the next match. There's no reason to play it. 8.0 and 8.3. Well, mainly 8.3 is also a dead BR because you've kept the F-104 at the same BR, so whenever 8.3 gets up tiered, it has to fight F-104A, F-104C, MiG-19PT, and other vehicles like the Lightning F6, which it can do nothing. These vehicles can do nothing against them because these 9.3s are supersonic. They have climb rates which are in excess of 160 meters per second. They can go, well, the F-104 goes 1400 on the deck. The MiG-19 can go over 1200. And these subsonics can't do anything. All you can do is you can try and make them overshoot and just spam your guns and hope that one of your shots hits them in the tail or wherever. That's it. If you're facing a player in a 9.3 vehicle with even 2 brain cells, they can just kill you. Other aircraft at a battle rating of 8.0 now show good statistics and don't require reduction or increase. But after the changes, we'll closely monitor their performance. This BR is dead. You've killed the BR. And even 9.3, I forgot to mention this before, even 9.3, which 9.3 is a crux BR because you've got in a down tier, it's absolutely overpowered. In an up tier, it's absolutely terrible. Not as big of a difference, but it's still F-104A against a MiG-21 SMT or an F-8E is dead. It's a dead vehicle against A-10, even just the AIM-9L. The A-10 doesn't have to do anything. Sure, they're going to fix this. They've talked about the fact that they're going to be changing the BRs of these ground attack aircraft with all aspect missiles. Good. In response to this, put the F-104 up in BR, put the MiG-19 up in BR, because your justification for keeping them at 9-3 is the fact that they have a chance of facing all aspect missiles. Which they shouldn't have done in the first place, but whatever. Just put them up in BR, you'll save multiple BR brackets. And also, 10-3 has been sat at the same BR for years now, these 10-3 vehicles. You've added multiple massive leaps in the top tier BR for planes. We're now at 12.7. We're at 12.7, and 10.3 has not gone up in BR. Why? That's anyone's guess. It destroys everything below it. Everything below 10.3 gets slaughtered. Because 10.0 is not a big BR, there's very few vehicles at 10.0. 9.7 has a few vehicles, but they all just get absolutely wrecked by 10.3. They get annihilated. And instead, you're putting down the BRs of planes that have to get up-tiered into 9.3, which destroys a further BR. Next, what's going to happen, if they follow this same logic, is the ME-262 and other 7.0 jets, like the Attacker FB-1, are going to get put down in BR to 6.7. What's this going to do? It's going to destroy superprops. 5.7 is now going to be an absolutely dead BR. So those vehicles are going to get downed. You can see where this is going. Soon, you're going to have the reserve vehicles at 1.0, and at 1.3, you're going to have J2M2, Spitfire Mark 9, P51 D20. You're just going to have an absolute chaos of BRs because you have done nothing to push vehicles up in BR. You don't need to be compressing them by putting them down. Just move other vehicles up in BR, allow them to have space so that you don't have destroyed BR brackets like this. It's awful. The F5E FCU is going down to 11.0. Cool, so F4C is now going... This is the problem. You keep adding these vehicles down in BR with all aspect missiles, and now because you haven't decompressed the BRs, this has to fight F4Cs, Mirage 3Cs. All of these vehicles are going to die because they have no countermeasures, and they're going up against Python 3s. Okay? Python 3s. A missile that has 40 Gs, all aspect capability, superior range to something like an AIM-9L, or equal depending on the situation. But regardless, does it have any business fighting planes with no countermeasures? No. This principle needs to be understood. It is okay for 1 or 2 planes to die to save a BR bracket. If the F5E FCU suffers at 11.3, so be it. Stop destroying BRs with tens of planes, 10 or 20 planes, because you want a single or 2 planes to be performing fine. Stop it. It's not going to work. None of this is working. And this trend, as I just described, is going to be the death of the death of air realistic, really. It's just awful. The main changes to the balance of aircraft in this update are focused on a reduction in the battle ratings for a group of aircraft from the Korean War period. These aircraft, under the current conditions, show a rather low level of efficiency. Why do you think this is? Because they go up against the 9.3s that you haven't put up in BR, and those 9.3s don't go up in BR because you haven't moved up the 10.3s. It's a chain. All of this is a chain that goes across BRs. All of it is linked. And instead of trying to fix the link, they're moving down groups of vehicles in an attempt to try and fix the bigger situation. And it doesn't work. Okay. Well, that ends up that. Have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.